Hi, this is James Governor from Red Monk and Green Monk. We're here at Sapphire 2009, which is SAP's big business sales conference of the year. We're in Orlando. It's hot, it's muggy, but hopefully there's some good business to be done. We're lucky enough to be finding out a bit about SAP and utilities. Now, some of you may be wondering, what does that have to do with sustainability? And we have someone here to tell you. So, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, my name is Chad Leonard. I'm a solution advisor with SAP. So basically my job is to help educate folks on the product and what we have in the marketplace.
Okay. And what do you have in the marketplace?
So what we'll be looking at today is really two things, our cost to serve model and also a CO2 model that really takes a look at a typical utility, some of their common business practices, making small adjustments and seeing what the change would be over that utility.
And in terms of the conversations with these kinds of customers, how important is the CO2 story? How important is the cost reduction story? Do they just go together, or are they separate? Do different customers have different needs?
Yeah, we're finding that they're both very important, especially with the new regulations and the new incentives that utilities get for reducing the CO2 emissions.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's a very clear business driver. Great. I understand you have a couple of demos you can show us?
Yeah. Okay, so what we're taking a look at here is really SAP leveraging some of its standard tools. So in this case, we're looking at a tool called Excelsius. And what we've done is work with some of our partners in the utility marketplace, namely here StreamServe and one of our actual utility companies. And what we're doing is taking a look at some of the common metrics that you see in the utility marketplace. So changes around acquisitions. So adding or removing from your territory or from your customer base. Taking a look at things like metering. So as I have more AMR or AMI meters, how does that change my cost to serve in the utility market? So we can look at other things like late payments and disconnects. How does that all change my business model as a utility? So what the goal here is to when we worked with this utility, we took a look at their actual stats and their actual numbers around that, and took a look at exactly what the dollar amounts and what the values were behind these stats. So for example, when we look at the late payment tab, we'll see the number of disconnections for non-AMR and AMR meters. So obviously these are going to cost, have different costs associated with them, just based on the amount of work that we have to do out in the field. So as, let's say I'm disconnecting more AMR customers, it's obviously going to be a little more expensive. So we could take a look at some of these small metrics and take a look at the larger change to my total cost to serve for that model. Again, this leverages standard SAP tools, in this case Excelsius, and leverages actual data provided by this utility. So we can take a look at all of these different metrics and see exactly how that's going to be affected. Another thing we want to take a look at here is the actual CO2 reduction. So this takes a look at a utility. We can look at some basic metrics around that utility. So the number of customers, namely, is one of the primary inputs. Also the number of bills per year. So a lot of times in Europe we see this as 1. Here in the States, depending on the type of utility, it might be 4 or it might be 12. Let's go ahead and change this to 12. This is obviously going to have a larger impact as we convert more customers from paper bills to electronic bills. So we're actually determining that metric here at the bottom. We can say, we're going to do more electronic bills. So that's obviously going to save more trees per year, which we can see in the upper right-hand corner here, and also save obviously a large number of sheets of paper per year. So we can change our metrics on the left-hand side. And really what this allows us to do is an evaluation of our carbon footprint and exactly how we're affecting things outside of our utility. So this is something that all utilities can use to really analyze exactly what their carbon footprint will look like. When we go to this AMI tab, really what we're looking at here is breaking it down to the individual appliance or the individual electronic within the house, and taking a look at how that's affected by changes in energy use. So let's say as a household, for example, I want to decrease my energy usage by 1%. I can take a look at how that actually affects things. If I want to see a little more detail behind that, I can take a look at the data behind this and what's actually driving that. Obviously, as more or less customers come into this AMI campaign, me as a utility, I can obviously save more and more as more and more customers sign up. The real goal here is to flip this around and allow customers to use this at their premises. So, we believe that the more data a customer has, the more effective these energy reduction campaigns are going to be. So as we can provide the users with this actual data and the tools to actually see how a small change can actually create a large impact, we believe the buy-in is going to be greater and greater for these utilities.